Legionnaires Disease. What should have been a celebration of veterans commemorating the bicentennial of America's separation from Great Britain instead became known as one of the worst tragedies of the 20th century, which is pretty sad. So in July of 1976, about 4,000 members of the Pennsylvania State American Legion, which was an organization of World War II military veterans, were gathered with their family and friends to participate in the Legion's 58th annual convention. And about 600 were staying at this hotel, the Bellevue Stratford Hotel, which was considered one of the best lodgings in the city and had frequent conventions. The day after the convention began, however, some of the Legionnaires started to become ill with pneumonia-like symptoms, a high fever, coughing, and chest pains, and difficulty breathing. And by mid-August, 221 individuals had contracted the still unknown disease, and 34 of them had died. So mid-July to mid-August. It was only about a month. So what happened? Well, speculation ran wild. Some thought that the epidemic was caused by domestic terrorists through chemical or microbiological means. Others thought maybe the CIA experiment had gone awry. Some thought the whole affair was a hoax designed to work up support for expanding swine flu vaccinations. One Philadelphia toxicologist thought that the epidemic was due to nickel carbonyl poisoning. Other speculations included toxic fumes from photocopy machines and even an attack from extraterrestrial forces. But in December of 1976, Dr. Joseph McDade, who was a CDC laboratory scientist, was able to identify it as Legionella pneumophila. And he further determined that the bacillus bacterium had apparently spread from the hotel's air conditioning system. So, now that they had a name for it, the scientists could work backwards and look for similar outbreaks with unknown origins. The first known domestic epidemic of the sickness was determined to have occurred in Austin, Minnesota in 1957, when 78 people working at the city's Hormel Foods Corporation meatpacking plant developed pneumonia. The source of the epidemic was never determined at the time, but 22 years later, it was shown that survivors of the disease had significantly elevated levels of antibodies to Legionella pneumophila in their blood. It was further concluded that the bacteria came from the plant's cooling tower. In 1965, 81 patients at St. Elizabeth Psychiatric Hospital in Washington, D.C. developed pneumonia, and 14 of them died. Analysis of stored serum specimens in 1977 showed that a number of patients had the L. pneumophila serogroup. The delivery agent was believed to be water from a lawn sprinkling system that was undergoing excavation work. In July of 1968, 144 visitors to and employees of the Pontiac, Michigan Health Department developed a relatively mild illness that was called Pontiac fever at the time. It was determined then that the disease was not caused by any known environmental allergens, toxins, or viruses. However, again, serum from those with Pontiac fever was also found to contain antibodies to Legionella pneumophila. The spread of the disease was traced to a leak in the building's air duct that allowed water from the air conditioning system to enter the building's atmosphere. From October 10th through November 13th of 1989, 33 patients were hospitalized with Legionnaires' disease in Bogalusa, Louisiana. In 1996, in several towns in southwest Virginia, 23 laboratory-confirmed cases of the disease were identified, and almost all the victims, when questioned, recalled walking by a display Whirlpool spa in a home improvement store. Many more cases are listed on the different sources I used that spread throughout the world. Some of the symptoms are a high fever, coughing, it can be dry or with sputum and sometimes blood, chest pains, difficulty breathing, muscle aches, fatigue, loss of appetite. Even some sources stated problems with liver function, kidney function. So how is it transmitted? Legionella is spread by breathing in aerosolized water or soil contaminated with the bacteria. The bacteria, in the case of the Legionnaires, came from the plant's cooling tower. Sources where temperatures allow the bacteria to thrive include hot water tanks, cooling towers, and evaporated condensers of large air conditioning systems, such as those commonly found in hotels and large office buildings. I guess I will be camping from now on. Does not spread person to person. The United States has one of the safest drinking water supplies in the world, but we could still do better, because the drinking and swimming and cooling systems of high-rise buildings still can cause this bacterium to develop. About 7.2 million Americans get sick every year from diseases spread through water. So how does it work? Well, in Wikipedia, the Legionella bacterium enters the lungs, it states, by aspiration of the contaminated water. Once it gets in there, into your system, it's consumed by macrophages. But instead of the macrophages being able to do what they're supposed to do by breaking it down, the Legionella bacterium multiply inside it, causing the death of the macrophage. The bacteria are then released and infect other macrophages, blocking the fusion of phagosomes and lysosomes inside a host cell, which normally would have broken down the bacterium. But it can be treated. It can be treated with antibiotics, and it has to be an effective antibiotic that has excellent intracellular penetration. The number of cases reported to CDC has been on the rise since 2000, and health departments reported nearly 10,000 cases of Legionnaires' disease in the United States in 2018. However, it's estimated that 5 to 10% of the cases are mistakenly reported, and it could be 5%, 30 to 30% during various outbreaks that are really happening, and it can approach 50% when treatment with antibiotics is delayed. These are the sources I use: Legionnaires Lawyer, cdc.gov, and again, Wikipedia. Thank you very much.